All right, in this video, let's walk through how to put together a keyword portfolio for whatever your product is. I've created this worksheet here, a bunch of Excel sheets, well, actually Google Sheets, and it's going to flow from left to right, with the first sheet, sheet zero being the README. And what this is basically an explainer for how you should think about what keywords live at each stage of the funnel for your product or your customer. Um, there's a lot of searches out there. They're not all super high intent. There are typically more searches for informational, lower intent things than there are for very high intent things. So it's kind of like a trade off. The higher up in the funnel, the more search volume there's going to be, but the lower the intent uh, uh, those queries will have. And then the inverse is true. As you go down the funnel, there's going to be a lot of high intent, right here, high intent query search queries, but there's going to be a lot less of those, and that's going to be more competitive because all of your competitors are also bidding on those things because they also know that there's a lot of high intent there. So this is the framework we're going to use for how to come up with a portfolio of keywords, with the top being very informational stuff. So, for this example, if we're pretending like we are an AI writing tool for novelists, then we're going to do something around like how to overcome writer's block, right? Someone who's got writer's block, they're looking for ideas. They're seeking knowledge. This is typically the beginning of the purchase journey. An example for like a sunscreen company or like a UV blocking sweater company might be like, how to treat sunburn, for instance. Uh, then you go down one step and the user is starting to hone in on a technique or a method or a product or something tangible that they want to solve their problem that they were originally doing research for. So that's going to be stuff like, hey, in the novel writing example, story writing tools or brainstorming templates. In the sunscreen example, it might be like, SPF 50 lotions or creams or a UV blocking sweater or something like that. Another step down, even less search volume, but more high intent. So this is going to be typically like after someone has honed in on a specific brand for whatever that product they were looking for is. In the story writing example, it might be Grammarly or Jasper AI, right? AI writing tools. Um, in the sunscreen example, it might be like Supergoop or something like that. And then finally, the highest intent tranche of queries for your brand is going to be your own brand term. So if you are Supergoop, bidding on Supergoop. If you are Grammarly, bidding on Grammarly. Obviously, that's going to be the lowest volume, but the highest intent. All right. So the next step that we're going to do in the next couple of sheets is figure out which keywords are going to live at each of these sections. But more immediately, what we want to do is lay out the campaign structure for our Google search account. All right, so let's move through to the next sheet. So the reason why we want to have different campaigns is because you typically set your daily budget at the campaign level in Google. There are other methods where you can like apply a campaign or an account level budget across a variety of different campaigns, and Google is supposed to be able to automatically distribute those funds in the most optimal way. But for most advertisers and more specific control, just stick with campaign level ad budgets. So yeah, we've basically created here four different campaign segments, one representing each stage of this user journey or funnel. So we have a very low intent informational campaign. By the way, I've got these two campaigns classified as non-brand campaigns. Typically, you'll have a campaign for your brand terms, a campaign for your competitor terms, and then a campaign for your non-brand terms. And within non-brand, there are different levels of intent as well, right? So informational, less intent, product specific, more intent. And then, those will translate into conversion rates as well. Top of the funnel, very low conversion rate. You're not going to get a lot of immediate transaction volume out of this, but it's still useful because the CPCs may be lower and you may get a lot more volume from your investment, which can translate into two things, right? One is you're building your retargeting pools. You're bringing a lot more people to the site. There's more awareness. And if you have email sign up or some low top of funnel or low intent, low lift, low commitment top of funnel conversion action, then this is a great way to bring people into your email file, which you can then use to nurture them through email. And if you collect SMS, same thing. Moving down a level, you have product specific, right? Like we mentioned earlier, a campaign for competitor and then a campaign for brand. Next, we'll go through and figure out what keywords we might want to include. Actually, real quick, actually, no, that's fine. Let's go ahead with the keyword part. So the thing that I want to call out before we dive into this section is you really need to perform the foundational parts of marketing before you get to this stage, right? What does that mean? That means you have to understand your customer and what their wants, desires, etc. are. Um, Typically, what that means is doing persona research, right? Like, how did these people talk about their problems? I guess first of all, it's identifying those problems and then figuring out how they talk about it. How they talk about it is going to directly translate into what they type into Google and translate into keywords that you would want to bid on.